new place within. Breathe out love tonight. Send it on a star. We can't stop these wars. We can't stop these wars. I believe, like sweet Martin King Jesus, in a nation for peace. Hold your hands, for the children of the world. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. We all live by grace.
Thank you very, very much for coming and joining us all. Holding the light for God, for Hilda, for the Masters, for all that have come before us and all that will come after us, for being who you are together in prayer and peace and meditation. First, I'd like to start off by asking if anybody would like to share anything personal. So can we have 3 people come up and say what they would like, whatever they would like to say. Miracles, transformations, prayers, life changes. Anybody like to come up and share with us? Come on, Kurt.
There's so much in my heart to say. You'll probably have to stop me. But, you know, normally when the Hilda meetings come around and I'm asked to speak, Hilda started dosing me days in advance. And the last few times I was asked to speak, the people who asked me to speak actually forgot. And so it was really interesting because there was one time where I was supposed to do it, and then I was waiting for Hilda all week, and she never came. So I was like, where are you, Hilda? You're supposed to tell me what to say. And she didn't come, so I pulled out Saints Alive, and I started reading it, thinking I knew everything and heard everything, and oh my God, there was so much I didn't remember, never knew that I knew. I think the most amazing thing was the whole story about her relationship with Jesus, and how he said to her, I want all of your time. And she said yes. And then she found out what that meant, but she had to give him all her time. And that was pretty extraordinary. And then another time, I was supposed to speak, and it didn't happen. And, but I was downloaded with so much energy. I said, what is this? I wasn't supposed to, I didn't get to speak, and yet there's all this here to come through. And a few days later, I went to an expo, a vegan expo with a great holy man. And so I went up to talk to him, and he wasn't really very receptive. He seemed like he didn't, you know, I couldn't engage him in conversation. But then he invited me to have lunch with him, so I had this private lunch with him, where he still wasn't talking, no matter what I tried to say. And so I said, well, okay. And then the next thing I knew, he decided he was going to have a big meeting. He did this sort of spontaneously big meeting, called all these people around, called me up on the stage, robed me, and made me speak Hilda's truth. And basically what I was given, and today as I was lying on the acupuncturist table, I could feel Hilda coming to me and saying, you say that which you were given then. And what I was given then was that this is the time of the crucible, when we're, you know, the crucible is what they make gold with, and the gold gets refined. And this is that time. It's so powerful. Everybody's issues are coming up in spades. Anything, everything that we feel about anything, it's to push us now to manifest our holy Christ self, to become the rainbow warriors of light, like Hilda always said. She did warn us that this was going to be a tough time. And she'd say that and I wouldn't listen. I would say, no, it's the new age. It's going to be wonderful. Well, yeah, it is pretty wonderful if you live her teachings and do what she says. And you know the truth that she lived. And you constantly do your sadhana, do your prayer, be the rainbow warrior. You never give up. You just know God is in control wherever we are. I was thinking too today how Hilda always said, believe in a miracle. But you know, around Hilda, you didn't have to believe in a miracle. You saw them happening so much. And I know everybody could tell stories of how they're still happening. And I feel like they're still happening to me. Every week there's at least several times during the week when I'm leading a meditation or a teleconference call. And at one point somebody asked me about them because people get healed or something, and I talk about Hilda. And they said, we would love to hear more about this Hilda. And I said, well, anytime you hear me lead a meditation, that's Hilda. I know she's with me. I know she'll never leave me. I know she was probably the greatest gift of my life. And she keeps me going, no matter what. This year on Guru Purnima, I decided to post on Facebook, which is now like my spiritual diary, a letter of gratitude and thanks to all my gurus. And I went through a whole list of them. And it was just, it was amazing, And then this friend of mine said, oh my God, you should write a book. And I said, yeah, And then the next day I was thinking about it and realized I missed 40 other ones. And I said, oh wow, I'm really Hilda's child. I don't even know how many gurus Hilda knew. I'm sure it's more than I'll ever know, but through her grace, I'm constantly meeting new ones and constantly met so many, and just have been born into this amazing world of the truth, of light, of the community of saints on this earth that are living the truth every day so deeply, so profoundly. I really feel that this time we're asked to step up and do our prayers and for all the things that seem to be the problem. I've been really praying for the waters of the earth, especially the Pacific. And I saw one of my health practitioners today, and he told me anytime anybody comes from California, radiation comes up. So he said, not so far on the East Coast, we're lucky it hasn't spread, but I think that's something to pray for, and it's one of my things that I pray for daily, for the waters of the world. So I'd like to do a great Om for the water, for the waters, the water element, the water devas right now, as Hilda would do. So please join me. Hilda's telling me don't forget the sea creatures and the fishes. Everyone who depends upon. Well, we all depend on our ocean, don't we? So let's see this ocean turning into the ocean of love. We know it's all in God's hands, no matter what goes on. And it's all according to his plan. That was the truth that Hilda taught. And that we must know, no matter what we walk through, no matter what we see, know the truth beyond these two eyes, the truth of the single eye. Thank you. Jai Hilda.
Thank you, Kurt. Wow. Kurt. Many people don't know Kurt. You should get to know Kurt. Kurt's so wonderful. Now, the secret of Kurt, which he rarely ever says, he was once upon a time some officer in the Sai Center, Satya Sai Baba Center, and around that time, just toward the end of his officership or right after, he had a dream. Can I tell this dream? And in the dream, Sai Baba said, hold out your hand, and he manifested, and Kurt, as Kurt, Sai Baba and Kurt, or God and Kurt, manifested vibhuti. But when he woke up, it was on his hand, in actuality. Is that what happened?
No.
Oh.
It wasn't a dream. I was awake. I had been very ill, and I couldn't go to any meetings. I was an officer. I was supposed to do 60% of the meetings. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to any of my meetings anywhere. And it was really devastating. And I didn't know what to do, and I felt really bad. I wasn't honoring my commitment as a Sai Baba officer. So I sent a letter to Baba, because Victor Blue was going off to be in India with Baba. I gave him a letter and I said, Baba, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to step down as an officer? I just want to help spread the light. And so I gave the letter, and then a month later, Victor came back. And so I said, oh, Victor. And at that time I was staying with Jed, and Victor was staying over when he first came in. And so, you know, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, or what happened in the ashram and with Baba. And he started to tell me this story about how he didn't have an interview. But one night in his room, vibhuti appeared on his photo. And then, as he was saying that, and he later told me this, he started to doubt this, that the vibhuti had actually come. And I sort of looked down at my hand and I saw this white stuff on my fingers. And I'm like, oh, what's this soap I didn't wash off? What is this? And I smelled it. I'm like, oh my God, the holy ash is coming right now on my hand. And we were all very excited, and it was phenomenal. And then I didn't know what to do with my hand. I'm walking around the house, holding my hand, going, do I leave it on my altar or what do I do? And Jed came home at that point, and I said, Jed, look, and I told him, and he said, this is the medicine that Baba's giving you for your healing, because you've been very ill. And I said, oh, you must be right. Well, I couldn't think. I was in this state because the holy ash gave you this vibration that was like zzzz. And so, okay, I licked it off, and then later on, we were talking about Baba, and we watched more come on my hand. It was really extraordinary. For the next couple of days, I kept having this ongoing teaching from Sai Baba with the holy ash. I think Hilda was away in India at the time. I was getting this message from Baba that, oh, I know what it was. I went to this church that I was a part of, the Ascended Master Church, and I was very concerned about them. They were a very ungrounded activity, needless to say, but they were wonderful. And I didn't know if I should continue with them, and then I went to this meeting, and then there were signs that were given that showed me I was supposed to be part of the church. Baba wanted me there, and I kept thinking that when it was happening, that my hands were anointed, and these were like Baba's etheric fires from the holy ash in the air, and so these were some of the things that came out during that meeting, and I knew, wow, Baba wants me here, and as a result of my being there and eventually leading that church, then people came to Baba as a result. And then the next day, I was thinking about this again, started smelling the holy ash again, though it didn't appear, and I got the message from Baba that I should share this message. And Hilda wasn't there that night. It was Thursday, and I'm like, where can I go? And I was like, oh, this is the main Sai Baba meeting, because the main Sai Baba meeting was always looking down those sleeves to say, oh, because we had Hilda's Sai Baba meeting, and they were like, you're not really going there for Baba, you're going there for Hilda. And, they were kind of putting us down a lot. So, anyway, but I knew I had to go. I said, this is the place to go and give this message. So I went there, because part of what people were saying to me was that part of the reason why you're ill is because you're going to too many groups, you're mixing too many vibrations, and all this stuff. What I received from Baba was that morning was that God was everywhere, the teaching was everywhere, I could go wherever my heart wanted me to go. And so, I got to the Sai Baba meeting, and before the sharing time, I started thinking about this. I knew that Baba would answer me. I never doubted that. I knew I would probably not get a letter, but I would get an answer. That I was sure of. I realized that Baba sent the holy ash on the fingers that held the pen that wrote my letter to him. And that was, so I knew, oh, this is it. That he was giving me this, and he anointed my fingers. Yes, this is it. So I got up and shared about how Baba was telling me it was okay. Go to all these groups and do these things. Do whatever your heart wants. Go where your heart leads. And then there was a very mixed reaction. Needless to say. But some people, sort of came up to me on this side and said, well, I work with the Violet Fire, and I go to Yogananda, and I go to the Buddhist, and I go to this, and I go to that. That was basically that story, and I was awake. It was no dream.
Thank you, and thank you for correcting me. That's Kurt. You'd think that God isn't with each one of us in our own way. Absolutely working through each and every one of us in his and her own way. Kurt's been a long time devotee of Hilda's and devotee of God's. But along the way, he also got very close to Amaji and others, and remains a dedicated instrument of God's love and light. And so are we all. So are we all. There's nothing but that, really. I just want to share this, which I've never shared in public like this. I was at Sai Baba's with Hilda in '78. We all went. Hilda said to me, I said, Hilda, I really want to go to Baba's, but I don't want to leave you, so let's just go. She said, well, we got to take Shanti and Vali. They were like 10 and 13 at the time. We got to take Shanti and Vali. I said, yeah, okay, so let's just go. She said, well, I don't have any money for a ticket, do you? And I said, well, I have money for my ticket. I was a taxi driver. And, in starting graduate school and everything. She said, well, how about if we just arrange a trip? And maybe we can get some free tickets. And so we all spread the word around that Hilda was going to go to India, and 20 other people joined the crowd, and we all went, and of course we got 2 free tickets, and we all chipped in and helped Hilda out, or however that happened. We all went, and we arrive at Sai Baba's, and we're at Sai Baba's, and I'm like, wow, Sai Baba. Oh my God, how many years? 7 years I've been thinking about coming, and now I'm finally here with Hilda, who was here in '66, and now she's back in '78, and it's 12 years later, and wow, this is great, and all these people are together, and we get an interview in 4 days, and Baba brings us in, and talks to all of us very intimately, and then everybody's filing out, and I'm about to file out, and Hilda's behind me, and Sai Baba takes Hilda aside and says, how are you, Hilda? And I'm walking out the door. He says, you get back here. Sai Baba said that to me, you stay here. And so I'm like standing there with Sai Baba and Hilda in this small interview room, and Sai Baba's just loving Hilda, and it's just spreading, and Hilda's loving Sai Baba, and it's just spreading, and I'm just standing there and being stunned. You know, like my mind was definitely obliterated at that moment. Fortunately, not forever, but maybe unfortunately, I guess. But the fact of the matter is, it was a great moment. And after that, I just wanted to get so close to Sai Baba, just be with Sai Baba. And I wanted to be with Hilda, of course, but this was the time in India. So I thought, well, Hilda, I'm with you all the time. You know, I really got to pay attention to Sai Baba because it's only 2 more weeks and then, you know, we're flying away. But Hilda wouldn't have any of that. Roseanne was there too. So Roseanne's taking care of Hilda. Roseanne's intimately with Hilda all the time. Whatever she needed, she brought. And I'm just sort of, and everybody's going, where's Al? You know? And everybody's going, he's with Sai Baba. He's chasing Sai Baba. And Hilda laughs. And then she says something to me later. She said, you know, a dog has a bone, but it thinks if it drops this bone, it can get a bigger bone. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but, you know. Anyway, life goes on, and then one afternoon, after darshan, evening time, everybody's eating dinner, and after bhajans, they go into the meditation hall. So I'm sitting in the meditation hall of Sai Baba's. There's about maybe 100 people in the meditation hall. They only allowed Westerners in because the Indians would all crowd into the meditation hall and no Westerners can get in. So they only allowed Westerners in for the meditation. So we're sitting there and I'm meditating, and it was a kind of rocket ship meditation always. So there was 10 minutes for meditation, then you'd sit down. The first 4 or 5 minutes, 6 minutes was a complete struggle with the mind. I mean, the subconscious mind in Prashanti Nilayam would just dump out. And you'd be struggling with all your stuff, and it would be right in your face. And then by about the 7th minute, all of a sudden it disappeared. It would disappear, and you'd just be sitting there like, zzz, you know. And for 3 more minutes, you'd sit in that beyond the mind state of samadhi or something, and feel a lot of transcendent bliss and love and silence, and it'd be boom. And then they'd ring the bell, it'd be over, and you were expected to open your eyes, come out of meditation, stand up, and leave within 60 seconds. It was always very difficult for me. So at this particular time, all of a sudden, I'm like thinking, oh my God, who is Hilda in relationship to Sai Baba? And Hilda used to always say to Sai Baba in her heart, she'd share, and she shared it with us at times, my Krishna, my Krishna, my Krishna. That's the way she would relate to Sai Baba often. So she'd see him as Krishna, and she'd be saying, my Krishna, my Krishna, my Krishna. And as I was thinking about that, Sai Baba shows me, Hilda turns into Radha, and Radha and Krishna are dancing together and then holding one another and just being in love. So I'm thinking, well, Hilda's saying, you should treat Hilda, Sai Baba's saying you should treat Hilda like Radha, because she's my Radha. And he said, no, she is Radha. So I was in shock, and I thought, oh my God, I've disrespected Radha. Okay, well, I'm not vibhuti yet. That turned into ash. I'm still here, so I get up within 60 seconds or maybe 2 minutes. They always had to prod me at the end of meditation. Get up, get up, get up, come on. So I get up, I get out, and I go and walk towards the canteen, the Indian canteen, where I know Hilda and Roseanne and the other women, because there's a women's section and a men's section, are standing for Indian meal. And I go up to Hilda and I say, Hilda, I'm really sorry. And she goes, for what, dear? And I said, well, I disrespected you and I'm really, really, really sorry. She said, oh, you've disrespected me, huh? And I said, I'm sorry. She said, don't worry about it. But why now? Why are you apologizing now? And I said, well, I know who you are. She said, well, yeah, really? Who am I then? And I said, well, Sai Baba showed me, and he told me that you're Radha. She looked at me like this. She pulls back, like Hilda would always like to pull back into infinity, and then said, don't tell anybody. And I said to her, Hilda, I'm just very human, forgive me, just please, I'm just very human. She said, you think I don't know that? And from then on, I always knew. And though, it's kind of like, we know these things that are self-evident, that we are God embodied, or that our gurus are God embodied enlightened beings, and we know we're raindrops returning to the ocean of God. And as the rain comes and returns to the ocean, the raindrops return to the ocean of God and become the ocean of God. We know these things. Everybody here knows these things. We've heard them a million times. However, because of the material world and desires and attachments and perceptions and the five senses, we forget. And that's called Maya. The illusion of life takes over, overshadows the reality. And maybe we're not all in that space of, well, everything's God, and I am God, and we're all one, and all that. But that's okay. We're all where we are, and evolving beings into the evolution of life, and we'll explain that in a few minutes. But the fact of the matter is, so often I'd forget who Hilda was over the next 10 years. And why? How did that happen? Why does Maya take over? Because we have ego, and the ego has to be in our face. Our mistakes have to be in our face, so that we can let them go and realize this too is unnecessary. This too shall pass. This is not me. This part of me that keeps wanting to be right, wanting to know something and denying some other truth, or denying the truth of Hilda. How can anyone? I mean, for those who were lucky enough to be with her, these truths were self-evident as soon as you were with her in any one moment. It was just an amazing field of pure love. And once we were with Hilda at the Hindu temple in Flushing, Queens, which she was the founding member of. And I would drive her there every Sunday to have a meeting, and then the Skanda Puja followed, if you know about that. And actually, she was listed as a founding member, and because I drove her there, they listed me too. Until they renovated it and took it down. Anyway, she walked into the Hindu temple one day, for Skanda Puja, which happened monthly in those years. Now it happens only annually, on Hilda's day of her birthday. So, which we're not supposed to share what day that is, but I did because I looked at her passport. Anyway, and this person walks up to Hilda. This guy that's like a big guy, and he looks like he would know nothing. Very rough cut. And he says, "You have a totally pure aura. It's totally clear. There's nothing in it. Just light." And she just smiled. I was standing right next to her. She just smiled. And then he said, "Can I touch your feet?" She said, "No. This is the Hindu temple." So she just hugged him. And it was just such a beautiful moment of recognition. And these things would happen. Hilda, as we speak, is listening to all of us. She's with all of us. So are the masters. So is Jesus. So are the angels. So are all the saints who have ever gone before, who have ever called upon to help. Whoever Hilda has called upon to help, and she's called upon hundreds of saints and enlightened beings to help her. And she said upon her passing, "If you call upon me, you get all the help that I've ever had, and me, because it's all really God." It's all just love and light, just like Kurt said. There's no separation between Satya Sai Baba and Hilda. And if devotees of one group think they're better than devotees of another group, they're just caught in the Maya, caught in the illusion, caught in the delusion of the senses and what things look like, not what things really are. So never believe in the separation of church and state or individual devotees or gurus. That's all the Maya. That's ridiculous. It's just absolutely not true. It's not what is. Only what appears to be. And what appears to be is the ego, as perceived through the senses, produces Maya. Illusion and delusion. Castles in the sky. So upon this moment, let's start in this way. What are the fundamental steps that we make spiritually from the very beginning? What was the first step you ever made onto this path? Obviously, you're here now, so you have many steps along the way. But if you can remember back to the time when you might not have believed in God, or maybe you believed in God, but you believed God was some way, some distant thing, something out there somewhere, not paying any attention and not caring. What was that first step towards God that you said, I really want to know you, I want to love you, I want to be with you? When was that in your life? For me, I was a pre-med student in college. I didn't believe in God at all. I thought God was pretty nasty if he existed because of all the pain and suffering on the planet. I blamed him. For my personal pain and suffering in my life, I blamed him or her. And then I thought, if he existed, I hate you because you're really bad. Look at all this. And you don't care. And if you don't exist, that's all the better, because then I don't have to hate anybody. I can just blame life and my parents. So I went around blaming life and my parents for a couple of decades at least, and beyond. And then somebody came, why don't you learn transcendental meditation? And I thought, what? What do you have to do for that? Give up your drugs for 2 weeks. Oh, my drugs were smoking marijuana and a little hashish and maybe an acid trip now and then. And I said, no way, Jose. I'm having a great time here. I got straight A's, I got a girlfriend, I have another one on the wait listing for being a girlfriend. I was a terrible person. I had been burned in high school really bad, you know, by somebody I was totally blindly in love with, who didn't even care about me. And then I said, well, you're going to meditate, but if you meditate, in 6 months, if you're still meditating, I'll meditate, because I keep an open mind about this. And so in 6 months later, they said, we're still meditating. You said you'd meditate. I said, okay, all right, I'll give up the drugs. So I gave it all up for 2 weeks. Sat down, learned transcendental meditation. What a rip-off. $75 for following a mantra in your head. Then coming back to it gently, easily, and effortlessly. Whenever the mantra is, the mind comes in and takes over. I've just taught you TM. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Okay, now I'm thinking about spaghetti and meatballs. Come back to Om. Okay. Om, 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 Om. Ice cream after dessert. Oh my God, after the meeting, I'm gonna have chocolate cake and decaf. Okay, all right, come back to Om. Om. Simply, easily, effortlessly. That's transcendental meditation, that's what it is. Okay, so I did that. But when I sat down to meditate, fireworks went off inside me. Closed my eyes, they gave me my mantra. By the way they pick their mantras, it's according to your age. 0 to 10, you get one mantra. 10 to 12, you get another mantra. 12 to 18, you get another mantra. 18 to 23, you get another mantra. 23 to 30, you get another mantra. If anybody's a TM teacher here, don't sue me. I signed that document, I would never tell. Well, you know what? When they start charging $2,500 to learn this, that's when I'm telling. Let them come after me. Sai Baba said, the first thing he said to us in that interview, one of the first things, he turned to me and said, he didn't even know I was doing transcendental meditation. No, I never told him. He turns to me and goes, Mahesh Yogi, big beggar. Like, I never heard him say anything negative since then, before then either. It's the only negative thing I ever heard him say about anybody in the next 30 years. Mahesh Yogi, big beggar. I'm like, oh my God. That cut it. Anyway. Fireworks went off inside. I said, what is this? So I didn't stop meditating. And for 1.5 years more, I did my marijuana, occasional acid trip. Don't do it. And the fact of the matter is, 1.5 years I wasted my time meditating. It was a total waste of time because I was just spinning my wheels. But something else was happening because I had met Hilda and she had touched me on my heart. Something else started cooking. That was the beginning for me. And then I didn't believe in God still. I saw Hilda and I saw what she was, but I just didn't really think God existed. But then I thought, if God does exist, I'm not only going to love God as much as I possibly can, but I'm going to study with Hilda as much as I can. And if God really does exist, I'm going to dedicate my life to God and do whatever is necessary to be one. But I don't know God exists. So what did I do? I thought, okay, let me think. I will, let's see. I got to open myself up and then point myself in the right direction. How will I do that? So I took as much acid as I could and meditated for as long as I could. It was at least 3 or 4 hours. And I met God. Almost died as infinite light of love, pulsating and being one with all beings. And I thought, and my body was shaking after, this was about in the 6th hour of meditating, off and on, off and on. I cooked my brain according to Alice Mimosa. It took another 7 to 20 years to heal it, really for sure. And Alice, who's you don't know Alice, she's an iridologist and a naturopath that Jed and the rest of us have been going to for about 30 years now. She said to me, you really damaged your brain a lot and you could get cancer. Except that you're not going to eat the way you used to, and you're going to clean up your diet and you have the herbs necessary. And so that anyway happened. But I met God then for sure. And I gave it all up, never did another drug, never drank another glass of wine even, beer, nothing. Never smoked another cigarette, half a cigarette in 1976. This was 1973. That's it. After that, nothing. I found God. That's the beginning. So how did you find God? How did each one of you wake up to God? How? How did you get to love God? How did your heart open up and then you started feeling something? That's the beginning.
I was an atheist and I started meditating. No, I don't have to. And so I was meditating, I'm feeling these nice feelings, and at some point I realized, oh, that's God.
So the next stage, what's the next stage? So then you know God exists. Now you're wondering, is God out there? Is God in here? Where's God? And you realize, well, there's 3 qualities of God: omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. Omniscience knows everything. Omnipotence, all-powerful. Omnipresence, all-pervasive. What does that mean? Like God's everywhere except within here? Like the realms of God are boxes, and this box is God's realm, and this other box over here is the devil's realm, and this box over here is like no God realm, and this box in here is like, okay, I'm so worthless, and how could God possibly be in here? Because I know what I did in my life and how many people I hurt. That's the next stage. Coming to terms with where God is exactly. And Hilda and Sai Baba said, God, where is God? They said it to us many, many times, especially Sai Baba, where's God? And I go, everywhere. And he'd say, you don't know it yet.
You haven't experienced it.
You haven't experienced it. And all I can say is, please help me experience it. Please.
In that interview, he asked all of us, where's God? And since I've been meditating a lot, I was like, inside. And he said, God is everywhere. And then later on, this years later, he asked Al about it, and Al gave the correct answer, but that's why we said, you haven't experienced it. It's like that dichotomy with, as if Hilda and Sai Baba were different. It was very hard for us, because we were with Hilda all the time, to see her as her cosmic form, because she was somebody who we were just with all the time, and she would upset us constantly because she would be correcting us, and you lose sight of that. Sai Baba was a little easier to see because he was farther away, and we were very lucky to get an interview, so he seemed different, but it was just bodies. When it comes to who they really are, they're just absolute truth, and there's no difference in absolute truth. There's only God. So, but I've skipped all these. We're going through different stages. Is there anyone here who's just starting to meditate? Everybody's been meditating for a while.
Okay, so what I'd like each person to do is think for a moment. Just think for a moment. Where do you believe you are on this path? Where do you believe you are on this path? Just self-reflect a little. Let's go inside and just ask God, where am I on this path? And I don't want anybody to have unworthy humility, fake humility, which, I'm nothing, I'm nowhere, I'm not even started. Yeah, really. We've all started, we're all somewhere. So think. Let's close our eyes and ask God, where am I on this path for real? The answer doesn't come in the brain, it comes in the soul, in the conscience, in the heart. You can even ask your guardian angels to ask if you don't know and you can't feel it. They'll know, they'll tell you. My guardian angel, where am I on this path? My guides and guardians, the invisible world, where am I on this path? So now you have a feeling. You recognize what feeling you have. Don't tell anybody. Tell yourself. And also think simultaneously, what do I have to do to get to the next steps? What do I have to do to advance on this path? Ask. First we have the devotee and God, the student and God. I want to learn. Then God may come in a human form, like Sai Baba or Nityananda or Hilda, and teach us in a human form, help us in a human way. But in the end, all those forms are the signposts pointing to the infinite, formless, absolute, unmanifest Godhead, from which we all have come and into which we all are going, the ocean of love. How do we get into that ocean of love? How does the raindrop return to the sea? How do we do it? As souls merging into the light from which we've come. How does it happen? So we're a devotee now. We love God and we're dedicating our lives to God and we're following God in maybe the form of Hilda or Sai Baba or Nityananda or Amaji or Yogiram Sarakumar or maybe Jesus. Even invisible forms are still forms. Celestial forms are still forms. Oh, and by the way, the gods and goddesses, They need to come to earth to be enlightened. And they got the biggest egos of all. They have huge egos like Jupiter until they're enlightened. They're not enlightened until they come to earth. Only here can a god or goddess or a soul in any way, in any place, become fully aware of their oneness with love, with God. Only here. So how do I get there? So at some point, that human form says, "Hey kid, why'd you do that?" Or Sai Baba goes, "Bad, very bad." Correct it.
Or I remember Hilda once said to Al about, upstate New York, about the ladies playing mahjong.
Roseanne.
And me, she yelled at me because women are supposed to vacuum. And I had the most wonderful experience because I was totally free in that moment, and I didn't have to have any attachment to being, a role. She just totally freed me from that. It was so amazing. And that was what would happen, to have a master correct you. A lot of times I didn't get it, I react, but once in a while I get it. And I was just like, I don't ever have to worry about any of this again. It's like, of course, before enlightenment you sweep the floor, after enlightenment you sweep the floor. That's that Buddhist saying. But it's not anything to do with, anything on the outside. And Hilda, when she'd be able to free us in that way, because she knew what everyone's little thing was, there were attachments, and she'd prick it.
I tried to hide, Hilda, the reaction I had when we passed by Grossinger's in Liberty, New York, going up to the previous land that she had. I tried, when she said, "Everybody in there is playing mahjong." And she just looked at me and I just was like, she said, "I saw your jaw get hard." She saw the reaction in me. She was trying to push that Jewish button. And once Sai Baba came up to me, we were looking, it was Christmas time, and he looks at the map of Israel and, Bethlehem and all that, because we're celebrating Christmas for Jesus' birth, and there's this big panoramic stage, with design. And he goes, what country is that? And I'm standing there, and he's asking his students, "What country is that?" And they go, "Oh, that's, I don't know, Israel, that's Israel." And what town is this? And he said, and they said, "Bethlehem." And what happened in Bethlehem? Jesus was born there, his students said. And they said, "What country is this?" And they go, "Israel." He goes, "Palestine." And he looks at me. Just looks straight at me. I went, "Whatever you say, Baba, I don't know." And then he laughed and walked away. He left me with thinking about that. Now, do I have an attachment to one group of people and not another? Do I have an attachment to one country and not everywhere? Do I have it? Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar said that national identity is the greatest poison. We're one family of humanity. We're one religion, love. It's one language, the language of the heart.
Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, I would sit with him. I was lucky to be with him for a while, and I'd sit with him up on this, it's called the Temple Chariot Pier, where they would take the temple idols out for holidays. There's this big steps into just a flat area, and he would feed a rat crackers, and we would sing, we would chant. And he had a dog that he named Sai Baba because he never did anything that was extraneous. Everything he did was devoted to God. So even his dog, he gave me the holy name so that when he'd be yelling Sai Baba to the dog, he would be praying. So anyway, I'm sitting there as it was a very backward place, Tirvanamala, at the time. and they had this great idea that they were going to have a herd of pigs be the septic system, the garbage men, or the sewage system, because everything was open there. So the pigs every night would come and eat everything. It was very gross. So anyway, he'd say, and then Sai Baba the dog would get mad at the pigs because they were in his territory. And so Sai Baba would be barking at the pigs to get away. So Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar said, Sai Baba is a very big nationalist.
He was always working with all animals, all people, to heal the world, make peace where there was lack of it. Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, he'd be arranging teacups. You'd say, he'd serve you tea and put a teacup in front of you. And if you moved it, he'd say, you just destroyed my work. Because every teacup was something meaningful that he only knew. And we would just sit there to try to cooperate. What do we have to do to take the next step? Larry, can you speak about the next step of ego?
Al said that I have 10 minutes. I told him he had 10 minutes last Christmas. He took 45. Everybody complained, and half the people didn't get on because he took up their space.
This is the talk about ego. Now Larry's testing my ego.
So he's not going to be talking at Christmas this year.
Thank you,
But he can chant. He can chant. You know, I have a different way of looking at spirituality than other people. I always tell people you can have as big an ego as you want, because it doesn't make one bit of difference the moment that you die. You just become dust in the wind and you're forgotten. And I always say, what does Rudolph Valentino, George Jessel, and Jimmy Durante have in common? And the answer to that is anybody under the age of 40 doesn't know who they are. But they were the most famous people on the planet during their time. And so our time is very, very limited. And to get stuck on the ego stuff, if you need to have a big ego to get over on this world, then do so. Whatever you have to do. I remember Hilda said, whatever you have to do to get people to change, do it. And she would cry, and she would do all different sorts of things that would get you to, okay, I'll do it, Hilda. So, I don't think there's this, I look at it a little differently, but I will say that the hardest thing to do is the basics. And they're really the hardest thing, and I'm sorry, most teachers can't do the basics. The basics means meditate every day, exercise every day, eat well every day, remember to take your vitamins every day, chew each mouth from 30 to 50 times every day. Basic things. Don't give up your power, don't play victim, don't allow other people to decide for you how you feel for the rest of the day. And that's really a full-time sadhana. I mean, and if you just do the basics, and I'm not talking about being as, holy and spiritual like Al.
No.
Don't pay attention to that. I'm really just talking about do your basics, and you'll get stronger and clearer and better. And most teachers don't do the basics. They can't live it. They talk it, but they don't walk it. All right? And the hardest thing to do is to walk it, to really be that person that can do all those things. I live with a woman who does that, who walks the walk every single day. And she's amazing. I can't do it. Right? As much as I try, I can't do it. I try, but I'm pretty stinky at it. I look better than the people around me because I take a lot of vitamins and eat real healthy and stuff like that, and I'm always moving. But to walk the walk, Jed walks the walk. He does. It's rare, don't you think? We always look up to people who really can hold the power and walk the walk. I was with Michio Kushi, and Muktananda came for a consultation. Muktananda at the time was dying of cancer. And Kushi said to Muktananda, you got to stop eating sugar, and you got to stop eating dairy, and you got to stop eating all these hot spices, and you got to balance your bloodstream and alkalize your body. And Muktananda obviously couldn't do it. And he said, I am not this body. I am made of light. I am light. And when we walked away, Kushi turned to me and said, this guy's delusional. He says he doesn't realize that his body, his flesh, is light. It's all light. And that he can't do it. Can't do it. And then I was there when another very famous yogi, not Kirpal Singh, the son, one of the Singhs, he was dying of cancer. And he told Kushi also, I am not this body, I'm made of light. And Kushi kept saying, what is with these people? What is this spirituality? They created a new spirituality. It's separate from their bodies. And that's a hard thing to do, right? To eat your miso soup every day. So I'm not a really good person to talk about this, but I am a good person to talk about not playing victim. That's a hard one, right? Not give away your power. That's a hard one. Somebody can make you feel good or bad. Well, think about it. I don't really have much to say tonight. And when we talk about our history, that's like therapy. Everybody always trying to tell you about their histories, about their life, because they work out all their stuff that way. It's like, I don't like reading, people send me their first book. You want to read my book? No. Because you're working out all your stuff. It's like, I want to read your 5th book. Don't read my first book. Well, now, actually, you can read my first book because it took me 67 years to write it. So, hopefully, I worked out all the other stuff with all the other writing that I did. But, otherwise, it's all autobiographical. It's all nonsense. People are always working out this stuff, right? So, it's not that we don't want to hear your story now. We really do.
Hand it over to Peter. How'd you go from form to formless?
From form to formless?
How'd you do it?
Well, I guess just by living and observing, listening to people who have intelligent and spiritual things to say, like you, like Larry, like Rita. And just living, just going through life,
You know what I remember when you said, when did it begin? And I thought, when did it begin? I don't remember when it began, but it came back to me when I was 6 years old. I had to go to communion school, And the priest said that God is everywhere. So we started having so much fun going, God is here. God is here, God is here, God is here. That went on for a long time. And I think we believed it. And he is here. And tonight I was sitting over there, and when Al was talking, I was just listening and just having such a good time listening about Sai Baba and Hilda. They're all one. They're all the same. And all of a sudden I got this jab in my heart, and it went, it exploded. And I thought, oh, I'm going to faint, but Jed's over there, he's going to bring me back to life. So, all of a sudden, I went into a sweat, and that's called the fire of God. Just Al talking about God went into the heart, and the body disappeared. And it became that light. Not because Rita said, become light. It was just that little girl going, there's God, there's God, there's God, there's God, there's God. And seeing only one God. Right here, and right here, all over. That's it.
That's a raindrop that's returned to the ocean. Thank you, Rita.
If he plays loud, everybody move. That's a Hilda lesson.
Sacred heart of Hilda, I put all my trust in.
Saint Teresa.
Sacred heart of Saint Teresa, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Saint Teresa, I put all my trust in thee.
Saint Francis.
Sacred heart of Saint Francis, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Saint Francis, I put all my trust in thee.
Krishna.
Sacred heart of Krishna, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Krishna, I put all my trust in Sai Baba. Sacred heart of Sai Baba, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Sai Baba, I put all my trust in Jesus. Sacred heart of Jesus, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Jesus, I put all my trust in thee. Behold your name, I ask the Father for His grace. Behold your name, I ask the Father for His grace. Bless the Father, bless the Son, bless the Holy Ghost as one. Bless the children, bless the trees, bless the one who's made us free. Sacred heart of Jesus, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Jesus, I put all my trust in thee. Sacred heart of Jesus.
You know, that's a Padre Pio prayer. I got it off the back of one of those little cards, you know, Padre Pio pray for us, and then it had a Sacred Heart of Jesus, I put all my trust in thee. It was Padre Pio, and I said, oh, there's the lyrics. That was it.
Roseanne's going to read something that comes from the Upanishads now. Fundamental truths of people who have gone before us.
So I'm going to read something from the Vedas. The Vedas are Hindu scriptures from thousands of years ago. Hilda said that they're in the air, like the sound in the air of the divine, and you could cognize them. You could actually hear them. I think occasionally people would hear them at her classes. And there's many, many that haven't been written down, but thousands of years ago, these great rishis, they call them, would write down the sounds that came from God. And they came, Oral Veda, the medical, everyone's heard of Oral Vedic medicine. There's the prayers, there's a lot of prayers to the gods and goddesses that are part of the Vedas. And then there's something called Upanishads, which is sort of the after the Vedas, where the rishis cognized the absolute. It wasn't about prayers to the deities, it was knowing the absolute within. And they're like a roadmap to finding our true God self. So I'm just I encourage everyone to read them. They're wonderful. This particular book, there's something from the Upanishad, and then there's, this person's a Sai Baba devotee, so they wrote something that Sai Baba talked about to illuminate the text. And just a little background, this sounds a little esoteric, I think, probably, but we were talking about Hilda. There's something when the sun moves during the winter towards the north, and that is when the liberated souls leave, like Hilda. She passed on January 28th. Yogi Ramsar Kumar around the same time. It's a time when they go to. This is an explanation of that, because I was.
When the sun, the day is longer again. For a period of time, it gets very short, and then it stays about the same for a little bit of time, and then it gets longer again. At that turn of the sun towards being longer in the day, that is more auspicious time. It's called returning to the north. That souls pass on.
So this particular Upanishad was a sage talking to some students, and they would ask him questions. So if he's explaining some things to them. So he says, those who seek the Lord through austerity, continence, faith, and knowledge of the Atma, by proceeding along the northern path, gain the sun. The sun truly is the support of all life, the final goal, immortal and fearless, from which there is no return, for the sun has no end. There is the following verse about this. And this is, Hilda would talk about how the sun it represents, and Sai Baba too. Obviously the sun represents just total giving, total power and total giving, because the sun shines on the good and the bad without any discrimination between the two. It's always blessing everyone. It's always our greatest example of how we should be, the way the sun is. There's something in the Chinese, the I Ching, it says, be like the sun at noonday, and just shine and just give. So, Sai Baba says the contemplation and worship in this universal aspect is referred to as jnana itself. So it's like the sun is one of the last symbols of the absolute, just the light. And jnana is knowledge, is spiritual understanding. And if you want to explain anything. He who is endowed with this jnana, and who has mastery over the senses, as well as faith in the Vedas, can easily convince himself that he is the very Atman. Now, Atman is, in Sanskrit, the Brahman is God, but Atman is God within us. This is a slightly different word, but it means the same thing. Pursuing the northern path, he reaches the spiritual stage known as the Surya Loka. Lokas are like heaven worlds, and Surya is the name of the sun, like sun. That Loka is the refuge of all living beings. Only those who worshipfully engage themselves in their daily duties without any desire for the fruits thereof can enter that Loka. I think everyone's heard of that, it's from the Bhagavad Gita, and talked about obviously thousands of years before. The fruits of our labors. That's how part of being on earth is that we work or we do something, and karmically there's a result. And as we get to be better people, we do better things. And so we get better results, but then we can get attached to those results and think we deserve those results. So if we're on earth, we're having karma, we're doing everything, we're breathing, we're doing our work, and there's results. If we do the wrong thing, we suffer. It could go over many lifetimes, the results, or the more spiritual work we do, it seems like the results come very quickly. We have a thought, we get whatever it is, and then usually there's some disappointing aspect to it that we learn that that's not really what it's about, to have desires. There's always a problem with the desire. There's never, it makes you happy for a few minutes, and then you go on to the next desire. So then you slowly learn the nature of the mind. The mind has thoughts. I don't like that person. I like that person. I want to be with them. I want that car. I want my children to be happy and have good jobs. There's a whole bunch of things that we want. They go, one after another, desires. And so they're fulfilled in a way, depending on how our thoughts are. If we think, like, say, jealousy, one of the worst things we can use our minds for, of saying somebody else has a better job, and so we're jealous of them. And so somehow or other God has to show us what the result of that thought is. And very slowly we get the idea that this only brings us bad. It only makes us feel bad. It's like we're not having faith in God because we're saying God's giving that other person something better than me, so that is a lack of faith. It's not having a feeling of I'm okay who I am and I'm doing my work and it's perfectly all right. There's all these things of separation, and jealousy is a great example of something that it really separates us and makes us feel bad about ourselves and about other people. Sai Baba says, for the whole world, the sun is the visible manifestation of the Lord. Above all, consider the service the sun does to the world. That is within the daily experience of all. Everyone is a witness to that. The sun is the source of all light, plant and animal upon this planet. Without the sun's rays, we would live on it, we would not have life. The sun draws up into the sky the waters of seas and lakes, and from the clouds, God pours rain on the crops. The sun scatters his rays equally on all. So now to talk about the year. The year is verily the Lord of creation, and there are two paths, the southern and the northern. Those who follow the path of good acts alone, by their performance of sacrifices and beneficial activity, conquer the region of the moon, the Chandraloka. The way a lot of us think about the moon, you think about the full moon, how your mind goes like, there's a like folk idea, you know, that people get very active in the full moon. In Hinduism, there's something called Shivaratri, which is the day of the year when there's the no moon, you know, the new moon, when the moon, there's no light. And it's when it's the easiest to meditate because there's the least influence of the moon that's making our mind. It's the presider of our mind. So, does this make sense? It's all symbolic. It's symbolic. Our mind is always thinking, always active. And so the realm, the loka, the heaven world of people that have strong minds, which is not a bad thing. They have a good heaven world, but it's not the ultimate heaven world that they're talking about here. So he goes on. Those who follow the path of good acts alone, by the performance of sacrifices and beneficial activity, conquer the region of the moon, the Chandraloka. Therefore they have to enter again the realm of the earth. Those sages who desire progeny take this southern path, which is called the path of the ancestors, and is indeed matter. So we're still manifesting with our minds matter. We're manifesting children, work. We're interested in producing something.
They're outlining the stages of the spiritual development here, going from desires, manifestation, the mind, transcending that to the spirit, to light. This is what the Upanishad is explaining right now.
So Sai Baba explains this. The authority to rule over the cosmos is exclusive to God. God is the one who does everything. God is free from desires. Our duty is but to offer him love and worship him through love. This raises man to the highest status among beings. Those who are unaware of this status or incapable of discharging its responsibilities belong to other categories. They too offer and worship. They too engage themselves in beneficial activity, but they crave for the fruits they hope to gain. They perform acts motivated by a desire to benefit from the results. We say to ourselves, we have helped the helpless, so our path will be smooth and safe. We have uplifted the downtrodden, so we can avoid troubles on our road. We have busied ourselves singing the glories of God, so we are sure of heaven. These are the calculations of people of this nature who engage themselves in good acts. And this is necessary to perform good acts. It's absolutely necessary to do that, because otherwise we can't learn compassion. If we're not helping people, if we're not always looking to help people, there's no way that we can get out of our own separate little mind and existence. The only thing that helps us to learn that we're one with other people and there's nobody below us or above us is by service. But the mind will step in and say, now you deserve to have a very nice life. And the thing is that you have good karma, so that generally you do have a very nice life. But then there's the next step where it's called Sharanagati, and it's surrender. And it's not like Hilda would say, it's not like God beating you up and surrendering. Surrender, you know, the masters make you surrender. It's something else entirely. It's oneness. We let go of all that we cling to and all the things that we want to happen. And we just totally trust God and become one in love. So Sai Baba goes on to say, when such people that have been our mind, you know, when we still have a mind thinking what we're going to get out of something, when such people give up their bodies, that is to say, when such people die, their words will merge in their minds will merge in their prana, that's the life force that comes through the breath, and the prana thereafter will merge in the jivis, our individual soul, and the jiv atma, that's the soul merged with atma's God. Jiv atma will travel to the region of the moon principle, the Chandra Loka. That is to say, the Loka of the presiding deity of the mind. Those people with strong minds, suggesting that they have to enter again the realm of the mind with all its agitations and turmoil of wants and wishes. In the Chandra Loka, such jivis will experience satisfaction and delight as long as the consequences of the good acts last. That is why it is said in the scriptures, when the acquired merit is spent, they enter again the world of mortal men. So we have to come back. The Jivatma encases itself in a body equipped with sense organs, appropriate to the earned consequences of the deeds of the previous body, and starts another life career. The residence of the soul in the Chandra Loka is what the Hindus refer to as the time spent as a deva in heaven, or as an angel according to the Christian and Islamic religions. So even when Al said before that the gods and goddesses, and Hilda talked about this, have to come back to Earth, because the Earth is the only place where we can get beyond duality, beyond hot and cold, like, dislike, good, bad, and be totally free of reactions. And the reactions are all in the mind. They come from the senses and they're of the mind, of reaction. And Hilda had no mind. She worked straight from God. There wasn't anything in her that was thinking about something. She would just do. And it's almost impossible for us to see that if we're working from our minds. Ultimately, what we need to do is to let go of the thoughts, replace them with a mantra, or replace them with good thoughts, but ultimately to go beyond the thoughts, in which you really need to do through meditation, because that's when the thoughts end. And those of us who were very lucky to be with Hilda, she had this amazing grace that she gave us that our minds would stop. Whereas I remember the Dalai Lama said it could take 20 years of doing, you know, some of the meditations that he taught. But with Hilda, we had the grace that, you know, which we didn't really deserve practically, of just the mind would just disappear. And then you would feel God. And it was spectacular. Oh, here, one more thing. We cannot think without words. Words are the essential material for thought. When the individual drops the body, the words enter the mind enters the prana or life force, and the prana merges in the atma. The atma is the individualized soul in the body. And then it liberates itself. The person who's beyond duality, beyond the mind, then when there isn't anything left of the mind, they go to the Surya Loka, the region of which, the region of Brahma. And having reached that region, there's no more tie, you know, like you don't have to come back. People like Yogi Ramsrat Kumar and Hilda and Sai Baba, they come back to help. But there's no, you're not forced to. They're coming just for grace to help the world. So, and that's what they teach. That's what they teach us. And so, from whatever little baby steps we might have taken, you know, years ago, or we might be doing now, that is why Hilda came, to lead us to that lack of mind, that, you know, conquering of distractions and illusion, you know. And so what we can do is when we're out in the world, you know, we go out and we listen to the news, you know, and how we listen to the news. Are we going to hate? Are we going to, you know, how are we going to do it, you know? Yogi Ram Sarakumar read the newspapers all the time. Hilda read the newspapers. It's not like you don't need to know what's going on in the world, but it's how we see things. Aurobindo, a very great saint in India, said that the spiritual people, they don't have lives that are different from anyone else, but the way they look at their life is totally different. The way we look at our mind is totally different. And slowly we free ourselves of all our attachments.
The most important step on the spiritual path for everyone, no matter where we are, is to cleanse the subconscious mind. And that means our reactions, our likes, our dislikes, our opinions, even about Trump. Not to hate, but to have compassion and love, but do the dharmic thing that's necessary. Uphold the right actions that help everyone evolve. Help love all and serve all sums it up. Actually, it sums up all of the Vedas. Love all, serve all, hurt never, help ever. Sums up everything that's necessary to be in that oneness of love. Enough of the intellect. Let's go into that space directly. We're going to have Hilda's mantra. We're going to go into a subconscious cleansing meditation that actually Hilda wrote. I read it about it first in Sai Baba's. I thought it was Sai Baba's. It was in Sanatana Sarati that Hilda's article called Subconscious Cleansing was published. Yeah. And so we'll do that, subconscious cleansing meditation. So first let's hear from Kathy.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. In the midst of his children, the Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many
place is the temple of your body. That place is the altar of your heart. That place is the eternal light of love on that altar, our soul. Hilda, Masters, Satya Sai Baba, Nityananda, and Jesus, all the others, Padre Pio, and all that we have called upon, help us in this moment to realize our absolute oneness with love, with God, with our true self. Jaya Jaya, Jaya Jaya, Hilda Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Om Jaya Jaya. Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha, Om Jaya Jaya, Hilda Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Om Jaya Jaya, Hilda Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha. Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Om Jaya Jaya, Hilda Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha. Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha, Om Jaya Jaya, Hilda Shanti Devi, Hilda Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha. Shanti Devi, Mahagazuma, Namo Namaha. Let's continue to build the frequency, build the vibration. Let it soak into you. Let the intensity begin with the power of attention, the power of mind used properly, is intensity, concentration. call one of our most beloveds as well. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Rai. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Rama Surata Kumara Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Raya. Let this infusion sink into your soul. Never mind the mind. Just feel the love, feel the light, feel the support of God through these many divine teachers. In you, in us, it's all there. Same God in these divine teachers. It's the same God in us. Ocean of love. Satya Sai Baba, Nityananda, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Yehovah, Ishvara, Yahweh, Om. Just feel the love within yourself and through you to everyone. Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Uriel, share us, inspire us and cheer us. The oneness of love. Om Namo Narayana. Om Mahavira Bhagavan Sri Skanda Namo Namaha. Om Jaya Jaya Mahajoti Shakti Saravana Bhavaye Namo Namaha. Each one of us the light of love in this earth, this moment. Empty, filled with God, beyond the mind. Surrendered to the heart and the soul of love. To God. If you feel it dissipating, there's a reason. If you feel the love and the light slipping from you, that's the subconscious. So now, with this perspective of the oneness of love that comes from within God, in ourselves, and all around us, look into the subconscious mind of your own mind. Look into the third chakra, where they call the chi, the belly button, the solar plexus. Take a flashlight, a lantern, take a spotlight, and look deep inside, and from God's subconscious in you, because everything is God, to everyone. From God's subconscious in you, let those past memories, those past experiences, those past events, no matter how ancient, this life and all others, whatever comes up, look into it deeply. Recall it, let it bubble up, let it well up from within you like a movie, but one that involves all your feelings as well. Let them come up, don't be afraid. The subconscious only consists of ancient things that we're afraid of. Let them bubble up and watch them. Experience them. Re-experience. Fully and completely, no matter what it is. Or was. The illusion of the past. Tears come, let them come. Sadness, hurt. Even greatest joys are still in the subconscious mind. The day you got married to the one you really loved, great joy. Still the illusion that you have to have great joy instead of God. It is God. But it didn't have to happen that way either. It's just another memory. Let them all come up. Whatever they may be. And then, when you felt it really fully and completely, and you think you've got it all now, go deep into it again, dive into it, and get the rest. Whatever can come up. Now, in your heart, in the center of your fourth chakra, in the center of your soul is a fire of love. It burns brightly with cooling, soothing brilliance. Standing there, watching it, taking care of it, is God in form if you believe in love in form, or just God in the formless if you want that. Doesn't matter, form, formless, all the same. Sai Baba, Hilda, Yogi Ram Kumar, Jesus, Nityananda, Buddha, they can help you this moment in the center of your heart. They watch over you. Angels of love, Gabriel, Michael, archangels, all they are. Many more than we know. Whoever is yours, they're helping you this moment. Lift those experiences with you, and they Place it into that fire of love in your heart. You let them burn like a yagna, like a purification fire. Offer those memories into that fire of love, no matter how distant in the past or recent. Offer them into the fire of love in your heart and let them dissolve there, forever returning to the energy of love that they really are. All is love, all is God, all is one. That light dissolves it all. Just keep offering it. If it's sticky and it's not going, ask for the help of your loved one, Padre Pio, or Saint Teresa, or Saint Francis, whoever you feel close to, or closest in this moment, or in general. They'll help you do it. Don't give up. Just keep offering it into that fire. Feel the love of God helping you. There's only one God, and He is omnipresent. She is omnipresent. The Father, Mother, God of us all. Our Father, my Father, my Father, my Father, my Father. Now, dive back into that subconscious mind in the solar plexus, in the third chakra. Go back and look again. Take that spotlight of the heart, of your Atma, of your Godhead, and like a searchlight, search out into the darkness of the subconscious mind. What's still down there? What attachment, what reaction, what desire? Some desires are necessary if you're young. They're our dharma, they're your dharma. Keep those. Don't offer those. The desire to create, to procreate, to bring God through souls. That's a helpful dharmic desire. Like that. Not those desires, but the ones that hold you back. The ones that get in your way. What are they? Are you still stuck on something? A house, or a car, or a job, or a career? Are you still stuck on money? Not thinking you have enough? We have the infinite abundance of God. The ocean of God. Infinite abundance of God that we're one with. But look down in there. What is it that you think you lack? What are you attached to? What experience hurts? Go into it, re-experience it, go deeper, deeper, deeper. Don't fall asleep. Don't go unconscious. Use your superconscious mind to cleanse your subconscious mind. Use your God mind to cleanse your subconscious mind. Go and re-experience. Re-experience. Don't shy away from the pain. Go deep. Deeper. Look at it. Feel it. Get into it. Be it. Be like it's all that there is. That's the only thing is this experience, this attachment, this desire. Get into it. Don't be afraid. The fear, the pain. Oh my God, the suffering of life. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you for carving me out of a rock and making me into a Venus de Milo. Michelangelo's exquisite angel. Oh, thank you, God, for carving me up, sculpting me, and getting out of something that was so nothing, making me into you, Thank you, God, through these experiences of suffering and life, oh my. Thank you, God, for taking and caring moment to moment, loving the soul that we are together, the oneness of us, the one. But it was pretty hard when that girl in high school rejected me. Oh, that was a tough one. Thank you, God. Offer that into the fire of love. What is your past experience that hangs you up right now? Get into it. And when you got into it fully, you're really in it, then, but only then, offer it into that light of love in your heart once again, that fire of love that burns so brightly that it purifies and consumes even the ego itself, which the mind is built upon, this false delusion, castles in the sky. Oh my, oh God, offering it to you. This is surrender. This is Sharanagati. This. Then offer the thoughts in the mind. If the mind gets in the way, offer those too. Whatever it is, offer it into that fire of love. Oh my God, we're just love incarnated. That's all we really are. And all the rest is the dross. The body identification, the mind identification. Offer it. God, I offer this to you. Oh my, take it. I don't need it. I don't want it. And I don't have to wait till this body dies to let it go either. Just right now. Right this moment. Not the body. I am not the mind. I am not even the higher mind. I am not even a soul. I am one with you. One. And all the rest I offered into this fire of love. This fire of love is all. Love is all. God is love, and love is God. I am that I am. Feel it. Let it go now. I'm not even a soul on this planet. Just consciousness. Just the oneness of being. That's all I am. The source of that thought. Let the elevator of love take you into your own true self. Feel it. Let the light spread within you. Light of love consumes it all. Rise in that.
Be it.
In the night, she stands for truth and light, a master soul that takes my heart away. Perched on high above, hands outstretched in love, breathing forth the sacred holy
sense of oneness, this beingness, for the sake of the world for which we've come here to serve. Love all serve. We're love. Let's pray for peace in this world and for all the political leaders to find their own personal enlightenment beyond the ego, please, God. And bring peace to this world. Bring transformation to this world and to our lives. Let there be peace on earth, heaven on earth. May Jesus come again within all beings. Let us pray. Call out the countries of this world as you feel it.
Syria, Iran, China, Taiwan, Brazil, Venezuela,
Central Africa,
May the angels take our prayers and make them real. May God hear our prayers and make them real. May the God within every being be vibrant and alive through the power of our prayers and the love of and the light within us all. We are one among many, many, many lighthouses throughout this world. Please may I and may we purify ourselves and be in that light of purity that spreads love throughout this world. May the world be at peace in the name of Jesus. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of God and every being. In the name of God Almighty. In the Absolute. Hear our prayers. Let's make a circle if you can. Let's make a circle here. We're going to make a prayer circle. And we hold hands together. If you can, stand. If you can't, it's okay. Let's, the people in the back, come forward. Let's join hands if you can. Who's ever in need personally here, step into the circle. If you feel you need prayers tonight, step into the circle. Step into the circle, and let's close the rest of the circle onto them. Come. Get close. Come. Each of you is a lighthouse. When lighthouses in the body form are having a difficult time, the lighthouses of other bodies that are not having such a difficult time can help. We're all here to help each other. We all got each other's backs. We're here to love and serve. So in this moment, think of your need, whatever it may be. But those in the middle, drop hands. Those individually need this help. And those of us around, let's start to pray. When you feel the urge, those of us who are in the circle to step forward and put hands on a particular person will feel who to put hands on to. Just see them perfect in Christ, perfect in God, perfect in love, and let that love, light, and God flow through you to the other person, in the physical, in the mental, in the emotional, and in the spiritual, making peace, love, and light come for all of their life. In the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and all the oneness of love that exists in every being who has ever walked the earth previous to us and shall walk in the future, as well as present day. Know that God's the only doer, God's the only healer. No individual heals, only God heals through individuals. In the world. In the world we heal through us, and God heal the world through us. And God love through us. May love God fill our needs and hear our prayers, and let us be one. Warriors and warriors of love and light on this earth, when suffering comes our way, we stand firm, we keep our faith. We know this too shall pass. This too shall pass.
Thank you.
And until it does, it's an us. We're all in us. Thank you very, very, very much for coming tonight. Thank you for praying together for world peace, love, and understanding, and finding your own personal enlightenment, because it's there. When's the next meeting?
December 19th.
December 19th, Christmas, peace, love, and understanding. Hanukkah, peace, love, and understanding. Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, 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 Om Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, Narayana, Om Jai Sadgurudeva. Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, 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 Om Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, Narayana, Om Satya Narayana, Narayana, Om Jai Sadgurudeva. Narayana.